ill at ease. When you meet a narcissist, there's something off note, there's something off key. There are these snippets, there's these smidgens, there are these flashes of wrongness, ill-fitting things, ill-fitting expressions. They are called micro-expressions, ill-fitting behaviors, and you can't put everything together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle with one of the pieces wrong, one of the pieces coming from another box. So the jigsaw puzzle is never complete. And you have this ill background ill at ease. Your intuition keeps ringing alarm in the background, keeps telling you, hey, wake up, something's wrong, but you don't want to. You don't want to wake up from this dream until it's well advanced and you begin to realize that it's actually a nightmare. It's surrealistic lucid dreaming, because you're inducing this dream, you're co-creating it, you're collaborating it. Had you just listened to your intuition and followed the aforementioned 4 rules, believe me, 90% of your relationship trouble would have never happened. And philosophers have a lot to tell you about your gut feeling and whether, when, and how you should trust it. There was a Polish combo philosopher, psychologist, poet. His name was Kazimierz Dabrowski, yet another unpronounceable name which qualifies you as a psychologist. And he came up with the theory of positive disintegration, TPD. Dabrowski was essentially an existentialist, because existentialists came up with the concept of angst. Angst is mistranslated as anxiety. Angst is not anxiety. Angst has a component of anxiety, but it also has a component of tension, of stress. It's like the stress of existing. Existence itself exerts such enormous amount of stress, so many conflict-laden tensions, that it generates anxiety. And this complex is called angst. And Dabrowski said that angst is necessary for growth. He said that there are processes that disintegrate us, but he regarded them as positive. He said that people who don't disintegrate don't reintegrate. They remain stuck in what he called primary integration. He said to move from primary integration to secondary integration, to progress, to grow, to mature, to become an adult, a true, full-fledged adult with all its dimensions, you need first to disintegrate. And if you don't disintegrate and then reintegrate, you lack true individuality. You must advance courageously, and sometimes you must induce personally your own disintegration, because it's a hierarchy. There's always a higher level of development, but you can't move into this higher level of developmental potential if you don't first destroy, creative destruction, destroy the previous phase. And he said that it all depends on what he called overexcitability, above average reactions to stimuli, as I mentioned before. He said that overexcitability is the thing that pushes you. That's the energy. That's the fuel that pushes you towards personal growth. And I think intuition plays a critical part in this. We'll come to it in a minute. Dabrowski has something in common with Jordan Peterson. And in this sense, Peterson would hate me for saying it. Peterson is actually an existentialist. But both Dabrowski and Peterson suggested that suffering is crucial. That in order to grow and to develop, you need to suffer. I'm not talking you need to be disappointed. I'm not talking you need to have pain. Or you need to suffer. You need to suffer as the condition of your existence. He said that intense personal suffering, self-infliction of suffering, this is the key to healing mental illness. He said that the shaping of personality depends on this, on processes of suffering which lead, such extreme suffering, which leads to disintegration. He said that one of the major factors, he called it the second factor, one of the major factors in growing and developing and evolving and suffering is socialization. Socialization is mediated, is conveyed to us via peer pressure. Society informs us how it expects us to behave. Society communicates to us its norms and mores, its values, and its prescriptive behaviors. Society tells us all this, conditions us, shapes us, molds us. Use any words you want, any word you want. Society does this via peers mostly, peer pressure. And he says that when we challenge this, when we break through this, when we do not accept peer pressure, when we are essentially defiant, then we grow. Now this is debatable, of course, because if defiance is taken to the extreme, it renders you a psychopath. But if there's no defiance whatsoever, you become a robopath. Robopath is a term coined by a systems biologist. His name was von Bertalanffy. My apologies again. And von Bertalanffy suggested that people who have no defiance, who adhere 100% to what society tells them to do, who mold and shape shift in order to fit into their peer group, these people are not human. They're robotic. They're robopaths. They're not only robots, they're sick robots. And so disintegration requires fighting back society, fending society off. It requires countermanding, undermining social signaling and pressures. And then the question arises, how do you spot these signals? And my answer is intuition. I think major part of what we call intuition is picking up signals mainly from others. And we have this radar, this detector, this scanner that is constantly on. And we scan all the time, exactly like narcissists and psychopaths. The difference between normal people, healthy people, and narcissists and psychopaths, the narcissist and the psychopath, they scan. But they scan and they have no emotional reaction to what the scanning reveals about other people. You do. You have an emotional reaction. So, but everyone, narcissists, psychopaths, normal people, healthy people, everyone is scanning all the time, picking up signals all the time. Beep, beep, beep. It's like this project of SETI, the project for discovering alien life in the universe. We are trying to pick up signals and we are trying to make sense of these signals, to discover structures, repetitiveness, rules. And I think this is what we call intuition. This is where this Polish psychologist Dabrowski fits into the video today. Because I think the missing part in his theory of positive disintegration is what mediates the communication. What is the communication channel? What is the transmission mechanism between individual and society, individual and peers, and you know what, individual and himself or herself? What is this communication channel? And I think this communication channel is intuition. And if we introduce intuition into Dabrowski's work, it is rendered complete. It's a fascinating work. I encourage you to go online and look for whatever you can find. Let's now begin to discuss intuition proper. Prophets in the Bible and scientists, they're both in the business, or were in the business, of making predictions. Both these types, prophets and scientists, resort to metaphysical frameworks as the source of their knowledge. The prophet will tell you, I got my knowledge from God. And the scientist will tell you, I obtained my knowledge via the scientific method. It's another argument whether science is not actually a religion. Put that aside. Both prophets and scientists vehemently deny the role of intuition in their output. If you challenge a prophet, if I could talk to Muhammad or to Jesus and challenge them and tell them, actually, you're not talking to God, you're talking to yourself, it's intuition, they would challenge me. They would have challenged me. They would have told me, you're wrong, I am talking to God. Or if they would really be in an advanced stage, they would say, this, what you call intuition, is the voice of God. The prophet claims to possess privileged access to a transcendental being. And the prophet says, I'm merely serving as a conduit. This supreme being has his own thoughts, his own intentions. I am nothing. I'm a channel. I'm channeling God. The scientist insists that his work is objective and rational, of course. God forbid, intuition, no way. And that, in principle, this work can be emulated by a computer, for example. There's an open question now, in the age of artificial intelligence. Why do we assume that computers cannot have intuition? Leave it aside for a minute. Both scientists and prophets actually transform deep-set, unconscious processes into structural statements, sentences, laws. They think that if they take what is profound, what is deep, what is unconscious, and they convert it via language to something that is communicable, it had lost its profundity and its inexplicability. I think it's a very dubious proposition. That you talk about something doesn't change its essence. And there is a problem with intuition. There is a problem with the essence of intuition. And if you listen carefully from now to the end of the video, you will learn a lot about your gut feeling and your intuition and how and when and where should you trust them. And it will come handy when you date the next narcissist, or when your next relationship falls apart, or when it succeeds, or when you have children, or when you start a new job. Intuition is arguably a much more critical part of decision making than rationalization. Our ratio, our reasoning are not what they are made out to be. And our intuition is very powerful. First, let's clear the field. There are three types of intuition. And I will start by describing the first type. The first type is called eidetic intuition. Intuition is supposed to be a form of direct access. When I ask you what is intuition, you would say, well, I directly receive an answer to something. I didn't even know that I had the question, but suddenly I have the answer.